rolling. We're already in Oakland, so welcome. What a great crowd. It's nice to see a great crowd out tonight. And I know there's a lot of exciting things happening today, so that's there'll be lots of fun in this council meeting tonight. You'll be on television. And so make sure you speak into the mics, because we always get nasty comments from the thousands of people that watch it that they can't hear sometimes, and so we have to, as counselors, to try to do that. And when you're doing presentations, please do that. Work with the mics. So, but anyways, welcome. So what do we got, Gord?
So we're gonna do the minutes.
Oh yeah, the minutes. Oh yeah. Okay. So we have two conflicts of interest that Judy, you'll bring up when your time comes.
Yes.
That we have here for two possible situations where Councillor Dirksen has to declare a conflict. So we've already done that.
All right. So minutes of the previous.
Have you got that?
Oh.
That's okay. Somebody move the minutes of the closed. Councillor Elliott, Councillor McKenzie, all in favor? Thank you.
And any additional items?
Any additional items? Yeah. I have one. Everybody else done? Dave? Okay, Chris? Right, okay. And Ron, Judy. Well, if anybody doesn't have one, let me know.
Listen, don't know why you asked.
Yeah, we're not know why they ask.
Just let it go.
I know. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor McKenzie. The Town of Minto Council convenes in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Right. Now we have delegations. And who's going to be doing the youth delegation? I think Taylor, and I see we have some youth with us. That's exciting, and they're going to bring their delegation up and let you take control of it. And thanks very much for your dedication in this group.
Oh, no problem. It's fun.
Yeah, for the council.
So I'm just going to give you a brief kind of overview or a bit of a background of how this came to be, and I'll let the students do the talking since that's what's most important. But this initiative or program is called the Municipal Youth Engagement Initiative. So this is provided by OMAFRA, and there's about 3 others that have taken place in the province. So I believe the first one was Municipal, Caledon, and I think Wingham did a similar one as well. So they've all been a bit different, but the whole goal is to connect the students, OMAFRA, municipal government, and staff, really just to establish that relationship and help get the youth voice basically across to council. So really cool. So we approached, Gabby and I at the time, approached the high school with Paul Richard, and he was keen to help us. Norwell's always great for wanting to get involved in things, and he forwarded us along to Jen Fenton. So Ms. Fenton's been amazing. She let us actually do 2 kind of projects, so each semester with a grade 11 class, and now grade 12 class is human growth and development. So a bunch of the students are here tonight. So basically our goal was to integrate some research into their curriculum. So they were going to be focusing on a social research report, surveying students within the school, and we really wanted to take it one step further and actually have what they're researching about like applicable and actually real life topics. So they all agreed, which was awesome when we went to talk to them. So they have a bunch of different topics, including religion, ethnicity, sports and recreation, transportation, and mental health. So all really key issues within Minto. So I will bring Fenton up to kind of give you a bit of information about the class.
Thank you.
Hi there. Thanks for having us. I have brought some students with me, and so they are available to answer any questions that you might have. I've been teaching at Norwell for a while, 16 years now, and I always find in teaching this grade 12 class that the students do an enormous project and put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, and I say thank you, and I take it and I put it in a box, and 7 years later we shred it. So there isn't a lot of authenticity within this project, and so I really was trying to find a way to make this authentic for my students. And then Taylor came along and she approached me in making my students be the the workhorses to get some data for her and to maybe get some initiatives within the town that the youth are looking for. So in the last several years, of course, we have had quite I guess, a time with mental health issues here in the town of Minto. And so that was a particular interest of mine. And I wanted to see what perhaps the town could be doing, the school could be doing to help students better mental health. And so that was one focus. We had two groups with mental health. And so one of our groups focused on sending out a text message to a group of various students, and they wanted to know when students were most stressed. So if the school or the town is going to help us identify what is needed as far as mental health supports, we need to know when students need it the most. So that was one focus. Another group focused on finding out whether students knew that support was here. We have some great supports. Of course, our teenagers don't know about them. And so a big part of that is the education piece and getting students linked up to the supports that we do have here. And of course, what they found was that they don't know what's here. We also had some ideas that as a community we want to come together, and so we want all the parts of our community to be able to help with mental health issues and with our youth in our community. And so I had a couple of students decide that they were going to see what our places of worship within the town of Minto could potentially offer to our students should they need it. As we know, our pastors are very well trained in dealing with when people are down and grief and that sort of thing. So we knew that they could potentially offer something for us. We also were interested in items of equity and how students felt. Did they see themselves within the town? Because I know that a piece that Taylor was working on was getting students to graduate from Norwell, go off, get their educations, and come on back. And if they don't see themselves here and as a belonging to this place, they are not going to do that. So we wanted to find out whether they do see themselves here. We also had a group focused on transportation and how transportation, because they are so rural, how that affects teenagers and their ability to be a part of their community. Are they able to get to the things that they want to do? Are they able to find that special spot for themselves and therefore feel a part of this community, go off, get a degree, and come on back? We also had some students who focused on things like recreation and sports. Do students know what is available for them put on by the town, and how can we basically get the information out so that they do know what is offered? So those are some things that we had, and as you can imagine, the results showed that they don't know what's here. So I'm sure that that Taylor could tell you that we do have all of the platforms that the teenagers love. So we do have the Instagram, we do have the Snapchat, but they're just not getting it. So we need to find a link between that, the thing that is there, and the students accessing it. So that is kind of a next step for us. So we did find that in the town of Minto, our students, they generally have a good mental outlook. And we also found that there is a great deal of stigma attached to getting help for mental health issues. And so perhaps that's a next step for us. And how do we destigmatize that help? Because it is here and it's available for students, and we want them to access. So that's a next question. We did find that people of color within Minto do have a hard time in finding a spot for themselves, and so that is a school piece, and that is a town piece. How do we help them feel a part of this great place? We did find that transportation does affect students' ability to be involved, and I know that Taylor has come with some exciting things that the town is doing as far as transportation goes, and that's really exciting for us as well. And again, with recreation and sport, our students found that they knew about all the things that were going on for very little people and very not so little people, but they didn't find that they didn't know about things that were going on for their particular age group. I have my students here. Are there any questions that anybody has for them? I think it was a wonderful opportunity, and I really appreciate the ability to do this. This course is running not next year, but the year after, so we'll be able to take that information and we'll be able to perhaps refine it a little bit more and get some more answers, which can only help everybody.
So just one thing, a comment I would have, and it's great to the students, because when you look at what you came up with, these are some of the things we've been working on, as you may or may not know. Just a county today. I think we're going to be putting our ride. We're going to be a soft launch in September for our Ride Well program, which is our Uber on steroids, I call it, for Wellington County. But open up on October 1st. And that's from feedback from yourselves that we were able to go and talk to the government, different levels of government, but we got a subsidy to get this thing rolling. And I do believe this will be the opportunity for students. So if you have something if you're, because of a regional situation with the school, you got friends in Harrison or friends in Clifford or wherever, and you want to get together, you have events that you want to work on, and you're in Palmerston and you have buses and whatever, that you'll be able to phone this up an hour ahead, but hopefully if you know a week ahead, you'll set up a program where 5 or 6 of you can go on one vehicle, and away you go, and you get a ride share, and it's like better than good price, all bit of subsidization. But that was one of the big items. And the other one that I really hit hard on, and I don't know if many of the students were here last June when previous June we had the meeting over in Norwell about suicide prevention and mental health. And mental health is such a big situation. And without your support and help with our mental health, I know we've been working on it, and there were some meetings the other day. The county's going to have a big announcement shortly too. I can't say what yet because it was enclosed, but they're going to be supporting mental health as well.
Excellent.
But the big thing which you mentioned was the fact that we have some services out there, but we just don't know how to get to them, and nobody wants to be the one that picks up the phone and does it. So it's a tough situation. So we really need to support you. If you got a friend or somebody, you're able to say to them, it's not a bad thing to pick up the phone and call this number or follow up with them or help follow up through our programs. That's the way you get that first step. That first step is so important, and that'll put you on the right track. But it's great to see a lot of these things coming through. And on the recreation side, we'll be starting a recreation master plan, which Ron, I would hope that they would, when we get in there, we definitely need some youth participation in that when we go on our master recreation plan, which is not just recreation, it's about culture and everything else. So it's about our dance academies, it's about our movie theaters, it's about our cultural things as well, our trails. It's no more than just arenas. And so we'll be looking for that input. So you're the great source for us, and I know from the council standpoint, it's great to see you come out tonight and sort of be there. And if you want to say anything, by all means, we'll go as long as you want. But I know you had some good feedback, and that's why you're here. Oh, they're all quiet.
Just add quickly. So I just wanted to add, so we, Ms. Fenton was nice enough to let Jess, myself, and Erin Raftis, our municipal youth intern, sit in on 5 of the presentations. They didn't know we were coming. So thank you for those of you that we surprised for letting us listen in. They were honestly really awesome. We love doing this project, so officially thank you so much. It's been a great collaboration, and we're looking forward to the next class in 2 years, but hopefully we can pick something up with another class, maybe at Norwell next year, just to kind of keep this relationship and collaboration going. And then, yes, just that Jess, for mental health, she was at a meeting with the class, and Matt was there as well to meet with the students. We had a session earlier in the semester where they could ask questions, and we could all kind of get on the same page and get some insight. So yeah, we're excited to take all these reports. We have all of them now on Google Drive. Ms. Fenton just sent them, so you'll all have access to them. And then we're going to take them to different committees, like the Minto Youth Action Council, of course, Minto Mental Health, PRAC, I'm sure, and the Cultural Roundtable. So we're really excited to get everything going. So were there any final questions?
Just a comment. I remember how excited Taylor was when she came back from those sessions that were there. She felt the enthusiasm. She brought it to me and said she was so excited about the input that you're doing. So keep up that great work.
Yeah. And is it okay if we get a big little group photo quick?
It'd be great. How do you want it? Do you want us to stand up?
I think it's.
We're going to
all
stand up.
those-
You're going to stand in front of us. Oh, that's good. Okay, that'll work.
Works great.
Just a few right in here.
Back here.
Yeah.
Let's get in here, Gord. Better take my glass
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. Want to read it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, I was talking to Norman about it.
Where am I?
Started out,
I may.
can't get it.
Okay, I have a resolution here that I'm going to read.
I'll just keep asking.
The council receives a report as information from the Marketing Community Development Coordinator dated June 13th, 2019 regarding the town of Minto's Municipal Youth Engagement Initiative. And further, the council approves and supports the findings and the future of both program and partnerships. I have a mover and a seconder, Jean and Judy. All in favor? Excellent, thank you. That was great. That was just great.
Sure was.
Now, there's another exciting thing here. I'll get it up on my screen. And you're on this one, Linda? Yeah. So, this is one of my favorites. Pitch it. And having, I'll let Belinda talk about it. She does a lot better at it. But being an ex-banker, I always say this, that banks never really want to help out anybody until they've got their business up and running. So this is why and then they want to help you. No bankers in the room, is there?
Just one.
Just one. I'm retired. But this was something that Belinda and we talked about years ago. Belinda, and how many years is this now? 8th year. And
Wow.
we've had some great successes and people have really, yeah, I'll let you run. So it's great to see the people here tonight, and I don't know who won yet, so I have no idea. Nobody knows. It's scary. Scary. They used to let me know, but now they don't.
Were you blabbing or something?
I don't know. I don't know why. There's a couple of years they've just kept me in the dark.
No, it's up.
That's
right.
Technical difficulties.
Got our best people on it.
See, we have some of the sponsors in there, but I know Belinda will bring that up. I don't. No, the banks do sponsor it all.
Oh, yeah. Gotta talk nicely about it.
Technology. Where's my water?
That's it.
Okay.
We're in.
Sorry about that, everyone. All right, so as the mayor mentioned, this is our 8th year of Pitch It. And just to recap, the purpose of Pitch It is to grow small businesses in our community, attract, retain, and expand existing businesses, and increase awareness for all the resources that we have available here in Minto. So who could enter this contest? Any entrepreneurs that were wishing to open a new business venture, purchase an existing one, expand an existing business, relocate an existing business in Minto. Our judges, this is a lot smaller than it was on my screen, but they're like mini judges. So thanks to our judges, John Burgess is here tonight from the Minto Chamber of Commerce, and Rob Mattice is also here. He's the general manager of 88.7 The River, and these guys have been great judges for several years, so they're very experienced. Also, I don't think Jamie's
here, but you can come. Rose, Austin, and Jamie Jordy tag team this year from the Saugeen Economic Development Corporation. Christelle Maines from the Business Center of Guelph Wellington also helped judge. So these are all key partners in a lot of our business support services we have. So we're happy to have them join us again this year. Some of the comments I wanted to share, that's really small there, from our judges before I get to who the contestants were and everything, about the caliber of the contestants. So this is from John Burgess. I felt this was one of the most diversified and interesting pitchets we have had. Everything from gift boxes and escape rooms, healthcare to new apps for tourism and natural soaps. The presentations were interesting and to the point. Well done, everyone. From Christelle, I was so impressed with the quality and caliber of the pitch presentations, enjoyed having a small part in helping award the prize packages so graciously donated by the local business community. I look forward to watching all of their recipients navigate their entrepreneurial journey in a strong and successful way. Congratulations from your friends at the Business Center of Guelph Wellington. From Jamie, SEDC wishes all the Pitchit participants success in their businesses. Thank you goes out to Pitchit Minto for hosting a wonderful event, and congratulations to all who received prizes. SEDC encourages anyone interested in business ownership or looking into becoming an entrepreneur to reach out or visit us as we strive to continue to extend our professional services from financing to providing business advice. And lastly, Rob says, the new format of Pitchit this year allowed the judges to customize a prize pack for each presenter. This gave us the ability to help multiple entrants depending on what they needed most. These entrepreneurs put a lot of effort into their business plans and live pitches, so it's nice to be able to recognize each of them with prizing they expressed a need for. So as Rob mentioned in his quote, this year was a little bit different. That's why it's called Pitch It 2.0. In the past, we had a winner and a first runner-up, second runner-up, third runner-up, fourth runner-up based on the scoring, and that's what you got for your prizes. And we always kind of felt we were missing something because some people would get a prize and they didn't need it, and other people needed that and didn't get that prize. So this year, there's obviously a winner. There has to be a winner who will get a prize pack. But then we had a whole customized pool of prizing. And based on the business plans and the presentations, we were able to give out prizing to everyone that will hopefully help benefit their businesses. So I want to start by congratulating all of our finalists, and they're all here tonight, so I'll get you guys just to wave your hand when I mention your business. So first up is Animated Media. So Chris and his wife Lisa are here. And they're the publisher of a neighborhood mobile app, and this one is specific to Wellington County, and it showcases local businesses, events, community groups, and it's targeted at locals and tourists. And this is in no particular order, everyone. Intuitive Health is owned by Liz Felix, and she's a registered osteopath located just outside of Hairston. She's a full-service manual osteopathic clinic that specializes in women's health, whiplash-associated disorders, post-concussive syndrome, and chronic pain. Najur, so I don't think Maggie's here, but Trish is here. We'll go for her. So Trish is here, and Trish is Maggie's mom, and they are co-owners of this business. It's an all-natural, small batch soap company, and all the ingredients are made with natural clays, foods, and spices, and they're all sourced local when possible. Also, we have the Old Post and Escape the Old Post, which is owned by Michael and Sue. So Michael's here tonight, and this application, you guys have probably all know about the Old Post and Escape the Old Post. So this one was about expanding the second escape room in the basement, and also the construction and operation of the Postscript, which is a unique meeting space and commercial kitchen in the basement. And finally, Elaine Young is the owner of What's Inside the Box, which is handcrafted wood gift-filled boxes using local suppliers. So you can go online and check out, is there like 50 different kind of boxes? There's tons of different themed boxes that you can buy for that special someone. Babies, barbecuing, baking, you name it. Elaine's got a box for you, so make sure you check that out. This contest would not be possible without the support of our amazing local businesses and sponsors. So I want to recognize each of them. Shout out to Mayor Bridge, who individually donates every year. Obviously, the town of Minto is a sponsor, the Minto Chamber of Commerce, Saugeen Economic Development Corporation, Awesome Interactive, Libro Credit Union, 88.7 The River, the Blackburn Stations, Innovative Print, Whiteman, and RBC, Metroland Media, Animated Media, the Business Center of Guelph Wellington, the Rural Route, Country 93. Kevin and Janet are here, and they come every year. Thank you for doing so, supporting the winners, and CIBC. So yeah, without these sponsors, this is not possible. We won't be able to give you guys these awesome prizes. So I think without further ado, my next slide is who the winner is. So everyone is going to get, at the end, we're going to get a picture with everybody. We're going to get a picture with the winner and a picture with everybody, and you'll all get your packages that will outline your prizes. So everyone is going to have something. Okie dokie. Alrighty, so without further ado, the winner of the Pitch It 2.0 2019 competition is, drumroll, the Old Post Escape the Old Post. Congratulations, Michael. So I will get you to come up to start, and I'll get our sponsors that are in attendance. We'll get a photo with members of council and yourself, and then we'll get all of you guys to come up together, and I'll give you your packages, and we'll get a photo and keep going. So thank you everyone for participating. It was another close year with, it's always amazing when you average out everyone's scores, how close in the end everyone is. So it's kind of cool. It's intense. You don't know until they're all scored how they do.
But it's nice you're able to give all those prizes though.
Yes,
to everybody. So.
that was the wonderful thing about this year. So congratulations, Michael. Would you like to say something?
I'd like to say something. First of all, thank you for your continued support.
You're on TV. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for your continued support. It makes a world of difference at Escape the Old Post and for the community and people in the community. I'm excited about the other business adventures, which I didn't know much about, but I'm going to have a few conversations before I leave. To date, over 3,500 people have come to Escape the Old Post over the past year and a half, of which a third didn't know where Harrison was. So that's quite a shift, and it really brings benefits to the whole community. So we often have 3 escape rooms or 4 on a Saturday, and guess where they go all eat afterwards or beforehand? Is Harry Stone's. So we're delighted with the connections in our community and the progress of the escape room and the excitement regionally for that type of event. So thank you. 530 groups, 130 bell ringers, which you might have heard on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday evenings or during the day. And unique combination in the postscript with the commercial kitchen and meeting spot. We're trying to be kind of exceptional and draw people from afar again. And it also is well connected to the next escape room. You have to recognize Tony Hale for his brilliance and keeping the build out consistent with, the architecture of 1912 and blending it with modern code and great opportunities. So thanks.
Okay, so again.
Michael, do you need to come up?
Oh, yeah.
It's weird. Sure looks like that door you blend right in.
So we'll get everyone up of our contestants, and we'll get the next photo of everyone.
Everybody's reading their package. Congratulations, everybody. That's right. Hide us. Hide us. Oh man.
And the local watch as well.
Yep.
They disagree with it. They won't
Prescribe it,
So I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Where's
the shot, eh?
Yesterday she couldn't.
Everything.
Everything.
Dickens,
She,
yeah.
times she can't even.
Yeah. That would be the thing.
Well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Public question period.
No,
Okay, those are the public.
we don't even have any staff. We don't
Oh,
even
he just
have
went to the
any,
bathroom.
press.
Yeah. This is more active agenda.
Didn't get a Oh, maybe so.
Ron's gonna get his back
property
fixed.
tax.
His daughter.
His daughter, yeah. His daughter has a bed.
Where are we? Question period.
No problem. Well, that was great. That was great. So we have the public question period now. Has anybody got a question? Oh, okay.
Public.
The public. First, well, yeah, the public though, not you. Correspondence received for information. Anybody want to pull anything out of the correspondence? Oh, well, the public health, the public question, there was no question. And now we're doing correspondence received for information. Okay. Anybody want to pull anything out of there? Nope. Yep. Can I have somebody give Deputy Mayor Turton, Benson, all in favor? Okay. Reports of committees. There we are. Marketing and community, is that it?
Yeah, we have staff report.
Staff report. Social media policy, and I think Taylor's doing that.
James meeting.
All right. So this is a report for the updated social media policy. So the last time that this, or I guess the first policy was first created in 2013. So given social media and its rapid growth and always evolving, there's definitely a few changes to be made. So we're just trying to keep on top of that. So just to point out, so our primary goals with the use of our social media accounts, so specifically Facebook, Twitter, and especially Instagram, which is new from the last policy. The goals would be to boost our brand engagement and awareness, continue to build our online community, and really importantly, humanizing the municipality. This is more and more important for municipalities on social media as there's more and more engagement and followers and that sense of online community. So we've really seen over the past few years, since we've been that much more involved, just all the benefits that come with having an online presence. So, like I said, so a big part is building the sense of rapport and humanizing the municipality. Again, Instagram is a social platform that's relatively new to municipalities, but in terms of engaging with that younger demographic, it really is key. So I really can't stress that enough, that it's a great tool for a municipality and really being able to get across the message and shed a positive light on the municipality. I'll add also, we've been focusing on social media calendars that are created monthly. So we're posting about 3 posts a day, and then sharing lots of different events, which has also been a really great addition to see event attendance and be able to share the message with more people and different targets. We've also been doing social media audits each month to kind of track growth and engagement rates. So that will be conversion rates and online community growth. And really, we've seen consistent growth each month, which is really awesome to see. And so those results will be presented annually from now on, just so council can see that growth and see if there's anything that should be added or changed. And another thing just to note is that before in the policy, it kind of listed all of different council and the mayor and various department heads pushing out social media content. But the change has been focused just really for the marketing and community development coordinator, just to keep things consistent across the board with everything, since we do have a lot of content to push out. So that's important, and we don't want to overwhelm followers either. I'll also note that now that we have been through some, emergencies like the flood, we make reference to the Minto Fire social media policy just making reference to that policy to be integrated in case of any of those emergencies like we've had before. So are there any specific questions related to the policy?
I don't have a question, but I think that we have a really good presence, which you said, but I see it as being a really good presence in social media too. You do a great job.
Thank you.
And I just a further comment. I know when we did downtown, is it Downtown Rising?
Your Town Rising?
Yeah, that really the Instagram thing and doing hashtags and getting that out there. That's going to be an exciting thing. And I do believe you just did you just do it, or?
We did an Instagram 101 workshop this morning. Summer and I through launch it with about seven are supposed to come, but 6 downtown businesses who are now all on Instagram. We're having a follow-up session next Tuesday to get them all on social media. So that's been exciting. And we're going to offer it to Harrison and Clifford as well.
I think you better offer it to councillors too.
I was going to say, we're going to have a train the council session
if you
too,
want
Jean.
us to share things appropriately, you need to tell us how to do it.
I think we need. Jean's probably hit a good comment that we probably should have a council training session, because I'm terrible at it. So if it went well, that's why I asked you today. If it went well with some of the downtown people.
I don't get hashtags. Yeah. Somebody needs to explain.
So
we'll work on that.
Work on that. Yeah. So you got another job. And anything else? No. Okay. I have a recommendation. The council receives the report as information from the marketing coordinator dated June 13th, 2019, regarding the town's and Minto social media policy, and further, the council approves the policy. We're in a seconder. Jeff and Mark, all in favor? Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And I'll turn it over to building department. Then I'll turn one more. I got one more. Welcome.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So I'm doing my May monthly report, and as you probably have noticed out there, things are continuing to look great. Our numbers for May of this year basically reflect what May of last year is, like 1 permit number difference, 27,000 difference. So we're really close to May of 2019. Our year to date is significantly better. We're sitting at 94 permits worth about 19.4 million, which, if you recall from my last year's presentation, is actually above what our normal 10-year is already. So that's awesome news. Last year we're sitting at 74 permits worth 12.5 million. So we're up significantly. In May, we issued a bunch of permits for some new residential units, 3 single-family detached dwellings. 2 were in Palmerston and 1 was in Clifford. And we also did a semi-detached and a triplex in Clifford as well. Soon we're going to have another new barn in our midst, just north of the office here. We'll have a new broiler barn. And we've got a commercial business in Tibby that's expanding as well. So that is all good news. So our 10-year average is 72.5 permits. We're sitting at 94, as I mentioned. It's up about 29.6%. So our chart, looks really good with our numbers right close to the top. And our 10-year average is 9.2 million. And again, we're sitting at 19.4, so we're up about 110% above normal construction value. So in the picture there on the right, that's actually a new hog barn that we have going up on Minto Norman B-Town line. So that's just a nice picture of that one. And then if on the preceding slide, if you could back that one up, that's the new facelift that the new OSM facility has gotten. And it looks really, really sharp.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So I don't know if there are any questions for me.
Good news.
Every month you come here with amazing numbers and they continue to grow. In our urban boundaries, in all three of our urban communities, have we got enough? How long before we run out of land, or have you got that estimated at all?
I haven't crunched the numbers to see how many lots we have left versus complete build out. Palmerston, we're getting very close. We've got 2 draft approved subdivisions, and that's pretty close to being it for residential development. Hairston here, we're actually sitting pretty good. We got some raw land that's ready for potential residential development, and there is some in Minto as well. So we're going to need the developers to step up and get some subdivision plans ready for us. So we can move on.
You think there's a need in Palmerston in the near future to be able to try and create some land within our urban boundary?
Prior to Bill leaving, he was working on the West Palmerston secondary plan, and we're going to be looking at that again shortly. And that is basically giving us background information in terms of where the town is looking to grow, and that's going to also help with our urban boundary expansion.
When do you expect you would need that growth?
Terry, I can answer that.
Very soon.
Next meeting in July, we will be having a presentation on the 2 secondary plans, the Clifford secondary plan and the Palmerston secondary plan.
Okay.
So we're going to give you an update and a presentation on that, including the new homes, new act that we can do some of this stuff. So I'm working just today with our consultants on that so that we can bring you a presentation next meeting. So stay tuned.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Off the top of my head, I'm thinking we have about 106 lots left within those 3 subdivisions that are draft approved.
Oh.
So based on the build out of the Right Haven one, it's not going to take very long.
That's right.
So you remember, Ron, we had an open house there last year, and Bill is doing this under consultant. So it's moving forward, and some of the stuff that's happening at the province, some of it hurts us a little bit, some of it helps us a little bit. So that report will be interesting to see when Bill finishes it in July, when we have a chance to look at it, because one of the things is they're taking some of the roadblocks that you have to do some expansion within a certain guideline that could be a more fast track, which we probably will need, and especially in Palmerston. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. And by the way, Terry, I at the county today, we did a report, and it'll be online shortly, and I'll get you to pull it. But for our Standards and Poor, they had all our growth, like economic development did a whole growth thing, and it's amazing some of the charts. And Minto we hold our own out there now. We're second, I think, in housing starts behind Center Wellington now.
Oh, that's
totally amazing. I looked at it. So probably what I'll do is let you have somebody send out the link for that. And I think they were going to put it on the website for under budgets for the county, and you'll be able to pick it up. And I would suggest the council look at it. There's some really good stats. Industrial, commercial, they had all the stats of where we are as far as the other communities too. And we're holding our own in all those areas.
That's good news. I didn't know how we were.
You have a chance to look at it. But
so next week we want number 1.
That's a little hard.
I'll have to fudge the numbers maybe.
Center Wellington is pretty big. Anyways, good stuff. Motion to accept that. Jean and Dave, all in favor? And I'll turn it over to Judy now and take over for the Public Works.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are 3 items on the Public Works agenda. I actually have a pecuniary interest with item 12,
I got it here.
C4. So I will pass the chair back to you for the middle one and then come back. So the first one up, though, is the truck tender results. So I'll give that over to Mr. Mike.
Thank you. So, yeah, we just received the results of the 2 truck tenders, the F-150 as well as an F-250 in their fleet. The F-150 is within the water department, and the trade-in is a 6-year-old vehicle. As for the 250 is in the roads department, and that vehicle is primarily used for winter operations, patrolling, along with carrying the sander and plow unit for the winter months. Is there any questions with this one? We were really impressed with the results.
Okay, no questions? All right, I'll read the recommendation that council receives the June 11th, 2019 report tender results for trucks 2019-06 and 2019-07 from the roads and drainage manager, and approves the purchase of the 2 new vehicles from Leslie Motors Harriston at a combined cost of $54,888 plus HST. Is there a mover? Mayor Bridge, seconded by Councillor Elliott. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you, that carries. I'll pass the chair back to Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And this is on the drainage, and I I think this is the reason for the conflict is the drain goes through your son's property. So
yeah,
just we have to put that into the record, so we have that in there, so that's fine. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so this report is basically it's a formality, paperwork end of things. So currently, Dietrich Engineering is appointed under Section 4 for a new drain, which services properties. If the map there, basically halfway through Concession 18, Lot 25, which is the Grassland Management Inc. And that enables them to do works downstream of that existing drain, so towards the Minto Normanby town line, which is closer to the top of the map. Okay, so that's fine. The reason for the Section 78, which is an improvement to the existing drain, is there's been a request from a property owner to the south of that location, which they aren't able to do under that current appointment. And then as well for both these, the Section 4 and the Section 78, for the 2 new systems to be assessed out properly, we need a new entire assessment schedule for the whole watershed, all the properties within the watershed. And the primary reason for that is the subdivision in Drew. Is at the time of the original reports, that was all one property, and now it's since been subdivided into multiple properties and different land uses as well along the water course. Is there any questions with that one?
We looked at this once before, do we not, Mike?
Yes.
Around the Drew subdivision.
Yeah.
And okay.
So at that time, there was some inquiries about the drainage in the subdivision itself.
Right.
And at that time, nobody wanted to move forward with anything.
Okay.
At this time here now that the works is actually at the bottom of the watershed,
right?
The assessment and all that is distributed throughout the entire
makes
watershed, which makes it a little bit easier.
Because it was pretty onerous, I do believe. I remember hearing figures of 20,000 per household, and
it could have been.
There was a lot of. That was my first drainage meeting.
Yeah.
My goodness, 8-9 years ago. It was a scary one.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. We're just in the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is any questions? Okay, the Council of Town of Minto receives the Roads and Drainage Manager's report regarding the varying original assessments for maintenance under Section 76.1, Section 78.1 for improving upon examination report. An engineer for Municipal Drain number 20 in accordance with the Drainage Act RSO 1990, and appoints Dietrich Engineering Limited to include the necessary documents in their drainage report. And I have a mover and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Turton, Gunson, all in favor? Thank you. Now I'll turn it back over to Councillor Dirksen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And item 5 is the asphalt tender.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just basically the results of the asphalt tender. We did have 3 bids, and as you can see in the results there, highs of 561,000 to the low bid of 368, which is very reasonable for this works. The proposed works that in this tender is a continuation of the 8th line, which we did the blind line and roughly 2 kilometers of the 8th line last year, as well as a few blocks and some other works in town. In Palmerston there, William Street that's proposed in there, that's a continuation of a project that was completed back in, I believe, 2010, 2011, as well as we did do 1 block of Queen Street right by King as well. And then as well as James Street's another continuation of the previous projects, with Victoria just as a short connecting link between the two. 2 very high traffic roads within Palmerston there. And then as well in Harrison, we have a couple of blocks of Queen Street South, which has been used off and on as a detour route, so it's seen some abuse, as well as John Street South, in between Young and just skipping me there now.
Young and Raglan.
Yes, Raglan. Right by the church there. It's basically at the end of its useful life as well. So with those projects that are proposed there, there is potential for some underspending throughout some other projects this year. So I guess we could bring a further report back at a later date with some more potential projects if council wishes to do any more resurfacing at that time. Is there any other questions or comments?
Mayor Bridge.
And just on the William Street one in Palmerston, is that going to fix that big bump that we've got there right by?
We are going to try to shave that down.
Shave that down, because that's been an irritant for a lot of people.
Right through the old railway tracks there.
Yeah, right, railway tracks go. Yeah. And I know we talked about the fact that we haven't got the money yet, so we haven't spent it yet, right?
Yeah, that's true. I checked this afternoon.
There's no money come in yet. Not yet. But as you know, we got double the gas tax this time around, and I've sort of asked if staff could look at other projects that we might be able to use with the good asphalt contract. So if we would tack it on to other possibilities, but you'll come back with reports. Yeah. But there might be some other areas that we can work on. Yes. Some of what the staff has been doing is some of our projects, because of the way funding is going, where we hope to do, the underground at the same time we do everything, we could be 10 years, 15 years out. We may have to start looking at some of these roads are to the point where we have to fix them rather than, and we'll still probably be 10 years out before we have to do anything underneath. So we're going to come back with a report on that and take advantage of that extra money that came from the federal government a little bit and get some of these things going. So I think we all know the ones that we've been told about over the years. There won't be any surprises, I don't think, on the report. I think all the councillors have probably had those brought to their attention. Yes. So hopefully some of those will get looked at. So
and we'll come back with some options for council.
Yeah, but this gets us started, and we want to get going, and we'll get some of this done.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah, quite a range in those tender prices, that's for sure. Is there a mover?
Yeah, I just want to say a couple things. Where is Armstrong from? Mike? Thank you, Chair.
St. Mary's.
Yeah.
St. Mary's.
Yes, yeah.
It's good to see the local guy, Low. I mean, that's supporting our people that live in Minto. There's nothing in Clifford. I know over the last number of years we've done a lot of work up in Clifford.
We're doing Ann Street as well.
Yeah. But other than Ann.
And William will probably be looking at something there. Possibly that may be one that you had on, but they're doing construction on that one right now. So
So it's nice to see a little bit going on in every center. So there's no favoritism. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Any further questions? Okay, is there a mover? Mayor Bridge, and seconded by Deputy Mayor Turton. All in favor? Thank you. That carries.
thanks, buddy.
Okay, I'll turn the chair back to Mayor Bridge.
And I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Turton for
Yes,
the
thank you.
treasurer approval.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. We have a couple or three items on the treasury tonight, so I'll ask our treasurer to let's talk about the approval of the accounts.
Great. All right. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Turton. So we have a relatively normal check run this time, $408,000. Few highlights. We have a facade grant that was approved, I think, at our last meeting for $22,000. We have some stoplight repairs for $7,400. Trucking biosolids from our wastewater plant for $13,000. And I've added up, our facilities director has been very busy with his capital projects and he's got about $35,000 there. The biggest by far is some playground equipment for $17,500. So all those sound systems and healing and a lot of work going on here.
Questions? Hearing none. The recommendation is the Council of Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's report dated June 14th regarding approval of accounts and approves the Town of Minto accounts by department for June 2019. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Mayor Bridge, Councillor Elliott, all in favor? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Second item is even more exciting.
Trying to get a little bit of enthusiasm in your voice here, Deputy Mayor Turton.
The second
Not
item
hearing
is
a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry about that. If I'm not, so we'll ask
All right. I don't
our
want to keep
treasurer.
you in suspense.
Yeah, go ahead. Gord.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I've got Emily Harris, who's been working with me on these two exciting items here. Just a bit of background, and probably a lot of counselors have gone to the stimulating asset management sessions at various conferences. I know, I think this kicked off about 2 years ago. I went to a session where, as you know, the government had the building together in 2012. That was the first asset management requiring a plan, and then there's been various attempts at saying what's next. And finally, they distilled this down to this regulation 588.17, which kind of sets out, okay, you've got an asset management plan, now what? The timelines are, to my mind, very generous for most of this. It's like have an asset management plan that includes core, which is roads, water, sewer, and then in another year we'll bring in your other assets. And if you recall from Minto from the very beginning, we've had like one asset plan, everything like recreation and fire and economic. Because to me it doesn't make a lot of sense to do a little piece of it at a time. But they did have this one provision in this regulation that had a July 1st of 2019 deadline, and that's the document we have here, the Strategic Asset Management Policy. So it basically sets out our commitment to asset management, and by our, I mean council, staff, and the public too. So between Emily and me, we've kind of laid it out. The county had a couple of sessions where we were going to work together, but we found 8 municipalities are kind of very different, and so this is kind of a made in Minto policy at the end of it. There's certain amounts or clauses in the policy that are required by the regulation, so I think we have met all those demands too. We've also tried to put in writing what our commitments are. A lot of it's what we're doing already. It's a combination of technology and human resources. I think the technology, like we've kind of chosen our platform, which is citywide by Public Sector Digest, and this kind of reiterates how we manage it. 2 years ago, we implemented the Works module. So an example of another thing to do is tie our individual service requests, customer complaints, tied into a certain asset. So as our roads foreman just said, we know that there's certain roads are, in a high demand for improvement, and we're not meeting the level of service that the public is expecting. So that's part of it. Again, within the strategic asset policy, there's a commitment for community engagement, and we kind of have dipped our toes in the water. And thanks to our mayor, I think we pumped it up a couple of times. We're using the Engage Minto, which is the bang the table software. And I'm happy to say we got 60 responses, which is almost as much as the cannabis. And this is not quite as. And the responses, we're going to bring forward a report, but I've just kind of skimmed them, and they've been very useful. And I'm really pleased that a lot of the things that the public is asking for, it's affordable. It's not all pie in the sky, and if we can deliver some quickly. Anyway, this is our policy. And
questions on the policy? I didn't mean to downgrade the excitement of this, Gord.
No.
I know that something new, but you always take a hold of this stuff and take it to fruition. And Emily, thank you for helping Gord on this, or thank Gord for helping you, Jebber. So the recommendation, no questions here. The council, the town of Minto, adopt the strategic asset management policy and direct staff to take necessary human resources measures to bring it into effect on July 1st, 2019. Mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Gunson, Councillor Anderson. All in favor of this motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Number 3 on the agenda here is to do with energy conservation demand management plan. So,
thank you, Deputy Mayor. So this is even more of a team project. It's Emily and I, and also our retired CAO. We hired him back to help with this, Bill White. And a lot of engagement from all the department heads, especially facilities and public works and water, wastewater, everything like that. So 5 years ago, in 2014, we did our first CDM, which is Conservation Demand Management Plan. And that basically recorded all the facilities we have that are enclosed, and we have to report on them annually, usually 2 years behind, which we have done for the last 6 years. It also laid out what will the town do in 5 years covering that plan. And our update here covers it, and really we've done a lot of stuff. Primarily, I guess the big win is replacing the streetlights with LED. That accounts for a huge part of the savings. And if you recall, we had the old mercury vapor and the sodium and stuff that is really outmoded, and we did it with no money up front. Most of the savings have gone to the firm that financed it, but we're about halfway through that project. Then we've also done things like variable speed motors and solar energy. We've taken advantage of the microfit when it was in, and Fit 4, which we did about half before the program ended. Again, Alcar's been really good at going after the save-on energy, so that's a lot of it is lighting upgrades and minor things like that. So I think in the last 5 years we've done a lot of the major capital intensive things. So we also wanted to see what can we do going forward. And we've got a whole table of that as well. And kind of the old cliche, we've done the low-hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now doing more intense things and maybe processes using them. I know the deputy mayor will be very familiar with that part of basically using what we've got better. Like take, for example, as one idea came up is, I guess the paddles at our waste treatment plant, they're either in or they're out. There's technology that can monitor it and put it in for a bit, out for a bit, or part way, and just an example of doing it. And we have an infographic that kind of packages what we've done. So in a way, there's two ways to look at it. Have we saved a lot of money? Are bills a lot lower? Maybe not so much. But if we hadn't have done these actions, that's what we've saved. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty amazing, and it's converted to greenhouse gas calculation too. And bottom line, it's been a worthwhile thing. Kind of mandatory. It's forced us into doing some of the right things, but it saved us money and we're environmentally responsible. So.
Questions? Any questions for Gord? Yeah, you could take your hat off to our staff and yourself working together. All these projects, I mean, they're all named here, and I'm sure there's lots that are taken for granted that we don't even have on here that saving us energy money. So the recommendation is that the Council of the Town of Minto adopt the 2019 Energy Conservation and Demand Management Plan update attached to this report. Movers, thank you. Councillor Gunson, Councillor McKenzie, all in favor? Against? That's carried. Thank you, Gord. And Emily, we'll pass it back to our mayor.
Thank you. And okay, so I have the. Oh, Chris is doing this one.
Yep. Okay. Couldn't be here tonight, so I said I would present this for her.
Okay. You didn't look like Quinn, that's why I was confused.
Thank you. I'm sure.
Oh yes, there's a conflict
I'm sure
here.
Quinn appreciates it.
Probably does.
This is yes, for agricultural leases, and Councillor Dixon's problem is that her son is a renter, so that's why she's not on this.
So Quinn did up this report for us. It's just a simple report to extend the existing land leases we have for our vacant industrial park land that's not in use, and for land around our sewer treatment plants, as you can see in the map there. It's not a big moneymaker for us, and in fact, it is a big pain for the farmers that do lease land, because we're, especially in the industrial parks, with the way we're selling things, we disrupt their crops and are tearing them out sometimes more than what they're planting in there, because we're selling the land and has to go. So, and there's been cases where we've had to dig stuff up to do environmental testing and stuff like that on them. So our recommendation is that we extend the leases to fall of 2022 with Mr. Sheehy for the Hairston Cemetery and the Palmerston Industrial Park at the same price, and with Scott Dirksen for the Hairston Industrial Park at a rate of $120. And they both are willing for that, and they both are under the understanding that as we sell it, we will tear it up, and what we do is we reimburse them for that 1 acre, 2 acres, whatever we end up selling, and they don't get to farm. So that's the report. Take any questions.
Questions? I have a mover and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Turton, Councillor Elliott, all in favor? Good. Thanks, Chris. Next up. Welcome back, Judy.
Exercise.
Yep.
Judy.
You know what? I'm not going to be near as stiff tonight at the end of this meeting.
Moving around a bit.
Are you nervous down there?
And
I'm not nervous at all.
Anneline's doing this one.
Up there or down there.
So Mayor, Bridge, and Council, you've already heard a couple different policies already tonight, one in administration, one in finance. So these are policies within the building department. We've done a review. We've been working on reviews, and we're going to try and do this on a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis. These are just policies that we've made sure that they've had their full review, and then that they are brought into line with current legislation and town operations.
Questions? So, where is it here? That the council receives the deputy clerk's report regarding review of policies and accepts changes made in policies 2.1, 2.6, 2.7, and 2.8 as presented. We're in a seconder. Mayor Turton, Councillor Gunson, all in favor? Good, thank you.
Thank you. And my next report is a
Land.
pending agreement of purchase and sale for a property in Harrison. I think you've already discussed it before. There was a letter of intent that came forward. This is just coming into open session. And what I'm looking for is for it to be declared surplus to the needs of the town of Minto, and that we go ahead and issue notice and obtain a valuation of the lands.
Questions? The council. I have a motion then that the council receives the report of the deputy clerk dated June 14th regarding pending agreement of purchase of sale, 80 Webb Street, Harrison, that the land be declared surplus to the needs of the town of Minto. The staff proceed to issue the notice and obtain a valuation of the lands as complied with the town's disposition of property bylaw. In a second, Judy and Jean, all in favor? Good.
Thank you.
Well, you're going to talk about 108.
To continue on with the excitement of the meeting today.
Policy tonight.
Policy meeting, and that is stimulating information. But this is a new bill that the government passed before they went into recess. It did receive royal assent, so it is now law, and it's called the More Homes, More Choice Act. And I'm not going to get into a lot of the details because, quite frankly, a lot of the details have to be still worked out on it.
Mm-hmm.
We were on a conference call today with the minister, Stephen Clark, Gord, and myself, and Terry, and Emily, and they passed this legislation, but really have no nuts and bolts to it. We will consult with you guys. We will be listening. Must have been repeated about 20 times in the conference call that we are listening to you, even though they approved this legislation without really listening to what the municipalities wanted. But some of the highlights we just want to bring to your attention through this is it does drastically change the development charges, specifically with commercial industrial properties, rental housing, and not-for-profit housing. Now can have their development charges paid over 6 years. So whatever the payment, whatever the charge would be, whatever we set, they can choose to have that over a 6-year period paid to us, which makes it very difficult if we're doing roads, sewer, and wastewater work to have that money sitting there to be able to do that work when we have to wait 6 years to get the money to make the improvements. So that's definitely one thing that every municipality, I think, on the conference call today voiced their concern about. And not only that, it's a bookwork nightmare for our Treasury Department to try and track that every 6 years or every year and send them bills. And we are allowed to charge an interest rate at our choice. So we pick the interest rate that we want to charge them to defer it over 6 years. So that has to be determined. But also if somebody builds a property, especially rental housing, and then flips it, then there's still questions to be answered about who does the bill apply to now, the person that built it or the new owner, and how does that get transferred? So there's a lot to be worked out with this. So a lot more questions than answers is what we got out of the conference call today. The other thing that is drastic in this is it's removed all soft services from the development charges. So there's no parkland dedication, there's no recreation, anything like that can be charged for development charges. But as a municipality, you can pass a bylaw after going through the consulting phase like we do with Watson's for development charges on a new community betterment charge. It's called CBC is what we short formed it. So it's a development charge, only it's kind of a development charge for soft services. So essentially you'd have two separate development charges, one for all the hard services, fire, police, water, wastewater, and stormwater. But then you could also implement this new CBC fund that would charge for soft services as well to put in there. So in one breath, in the conference call, they said they want to streamline it so that there's only one charge and makes it easier for developers. But then the next breath, they say, well, we're going to add a second charge, which is essentially a second development charge to the developers that we have to go through the studies, do all that stuff, pass a comprehensive bylaw, and have that in there. So as I said, there's a lot of questions to be answered. We have, through Emily's connections, we have volunteered Gord to maybe sit on one of the task force to bring up what, how this affects rural municipalities and how we just don't have the resources, the staffing to be able to do some of these changes. So to be determined, and stay tuned, but we just wanted to highlight that this was there. and that it will. It is law, and we're waiting to see how it's going to take effect. So,
Questions, Mark?
It seems like a significant loss is going to be with those soft charges, right? So that's what I don't know where that.
So at the
how
county
we're going to
level,
make that up through taxes or what?
Well,
But when it does happen, it's going to hit us pretty good. That end of it.
You're absolutely right. Unless you, as a council, decide to put this community betterment charge into effect that makes up for that soft service, but you have then two essential charge, which most communities won't have a choice, that you're going to have to charge money under this community betterment fund.
Just another question would be that they're putting in this 6-year timeline in to pay development charges, but the permit, is that part of a permit, issuing a permit if they pay the Terry, sorry, through you.
So prior to issuing a permit for like a new residential build or a new industrial build, currently they have to pay their development charges before the permit's issued. Come down the road once everything's all worked out, I'm not sure how it's going to play out. The tricky part, or what we were talking about after the teleconference, is are we going to have additional legal fees for all these deferred payments? Because there's got to be some sort of binding agreement with, the current developer as to who's going to pay it. And then once it's done, as Gord mentioned, do we have to also pay the lawyer at that point to discharge it, similar to like a mortgage? So it's going to be difficult. The other thing Chris didn't mention about the CBC charge, it's based on land value, not what's being built. So it's what the certain percentage, and again, that's got to be all worked out, of what the land value is at the time the permit's issued. So who's valuing that land? And is that a benefit to the developer if you're building 1,000 square foot building on 100 acres? Or there's so much unknown.
So the permits for the development they're going to take 3 years to do it, and they don't do it.
The payment or
mess, yeah.
Like right now, they can't start building unless they pay, which is nice, cut and dry. So we get the money. Everyone knows what the bills are up front. Whereas, down the road, the one thing too that they mentioned, but they kind of blew over a little bit too, was DC deferments until occupancy. So in your point, Mark, what if it takes them 4 years to build, like to get to the occupancy stage? It's going to be a logistical nightmare.
Wow, it is. Thank you.
So, Jeff, do you want to know?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Rich. To Terry as well. I mean, Terry, CBO and all your other CBOs in the province, did you have any say in this?
I don't believe we were even consulted on it, not as a building officials group.
So, I mean, their first line was, "We're listening." So, I mean, it really is kind of, to me, it's kind of silly. Why the big hurry to get the royal assent and so many unanswered questions? I mean, it just generates a whole bunch of controversy for all the municipalities, and it's kind of silly.
I guess this is a question that I don't have the answer to, but right now, as Terry says, we collect the building permit and the development charge at the same time. We're also an agent for the school boards and the county, and we collect the money from the developer and we remit it to the county and the school boards, monthly, quarterly, and that. Is that going to get deferred? Is our payment to the upper tiers in the school board, is that another thing to track? And then as to your question, is it time they get the permit or the occupancy? Like, talk about not simplifying things. And I don't know if the counties.
Well, I fortunately I was in transit, so I didn't get to sit in on that. Although I got the slides, I haven't read them yet. But we had the discussion at finance at county today. The way the county talk, Gord, is like we wouldn't have to pay them before they get, so that wouldn't be the case. One of the things we talked about, and I think Terry, you alluded to it, it might be more legal fees, because in our sense, probably what we're going to have to do is register some kind of lien against the property So if I build the property, but then I flip it in 2 years, that lien will come due and payable. Otherwise, how do we know 5 years from now who owes, and if they didn't get told in the agreement of sale that they have this big development charge, and it's going to be a big war coming at us. So I'm hopeful. What I heard from Chris, and I was talking to Gord, that yeah, they rushed this through, which I don't know why they did, but they did. And now they're sitting back and saying maybe we should talk to people, because originally the whole idea was to cut red tape, make it easier for developers and municipalities to move forward with projects. Now, in some of the Bill 108, it's the positive side of it is how the new boundaries are structured, right? That's in the bill. So there's some positives in it, but having this extra development charge fund and all the other stuff they're doing, and trying to do it on land and not on the building, they're creating all kinds of red tape which they've promised to get rid of. So I'm hopeful they'll listen. And it's too bad they didn't listen before, because we were telling them this. AMO was telling them this, I can tell you, and certainly we had input from that standpoint. AMO was right against this and saying, you haven't talked to us, and there's some big issues with it, and that's our association. So hopefully they've realized that now, but because now it's regulations, right? They've passed the bill, now they got to figure out what the meat and potatoes of it all are, and hopefully they'll back off some of this stuff, because the idea is to kind of get the businesses going. And one of the things that I always felt for us in our CIP program would be the deferral of development charges to a developer that wants to do things like higher density rental accommodations, things that we really need in the community. And we should have been, as a community, be able to say to them, okay, we'll let you have 3 years development charges, so we can use it as an incentive. But by just giving it carte blanche, that goes away, and they can develop whatever they want. So that's a little disappointing, because I thought that was going to be part of our play going forward. So I'm a little disappointed on how it's turned out. So hopefully the government will listen to us and try to do a few of these things for us. But
Chris, they've passed this, give it royal assent, but now they're saying they're going to listen. Do we carry on the way we carried on in the past as far as charging, or do we have to follow the rule as they passed it?
No, so it is, but it's such a bare bones legislation that all the regulations have to be written yet for how this is actually structured. So we're going to carry on with our Watson study that we brought to you a couple of meetings ago, and we're going to hopefully pass that as our development charges, with the caveat that this is due by January 1st, 2021. So with the caveat that we're probably going to have to revisit our development charges a year or 2 years after we pass this one to make sure that we're in line with the new rules. So we're still going to carry on and do the study that we're doing now, and then wait and see how this pans out, and then probably have to do it again in 2 years.
So maybe they are going to listen, then we can carry on. Hopefully.
We're optimistic that they will.
That's good.
Yeah, it sounds like the call today gives us a little more flexibility, Ron, and I'm sure OSIM will be looking at this as well.
Sure we will.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Motion to accept that? Mayor Turton? For Dirksen, all in favor?
Yeah. I think we're just accepting it.
We're just accepting it as presented.
Doesn't mean we're happy.
No, we're not happy.
You're accepting the bad information.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. And here we are at the Harrison flood, which we hope doesn't happen again, because it's right around this time, isn't it?
Correct.
Oh. 2 years ago. 2 years ago this date almost. 23rd.
This is the report that we've, as part of the agreement, we've contracted Bill to finish and keep working with us, with Triton and our public works staff and our staff and Maitland Valley. We're all working together on this to help with the Harrison flooding issues. You all know the background of the floods, and Bill's done a very good job in previous reports of highlighting the history of the flooding in Harrison. We all remember it, June 23rd, 2017, the 7 inches in 7 hours that fell and the flooding that we had. And Maitland Valley was excited because that was our 1 in 100-year event. A little less exciting that we were not excited. So, you can see the list there of the stuff that's followed. we have done a lot of work, and we have been continuing to push forward, and we continue to do a lot of really good work. We've had the flyover and the digital mapping done. Maitland Valley has done some phenomenal modeling to be able to tell us exactly where the floods came from and how it affected different communities. But even better with that modeling is any work that we do, they can run the model before we do the work to show us how much that work is going to improve on the flooding. For example, the work that we're already working on, that we're clearing the trees and clearing the debris from the river mouth, we're clearing the northward drain outlet there, doing all that work, we've already seen that what that's going to do and how much that's going to help us in the flooding. For not only that portion of Harrison, and what a lot of people don't understand is, as I like to do simplify things, there's a great big pipe under there that goes from the north end of George Street all the way under the town that comes out there behind Spear Seeds area, and that helps drain that whole area. So by clearing that outlet, we can let the water get away quicker. And Mike and his crew with Maitland Valley that have been doing a lot of great work there, clearing debris, and just the start of what we can do there. So what this does is this report gives you an update on what we've been doing, and then what we can do in the future, and kind of some of the options that we've narrowed it down to, essentially 3 different options, with one that we're recommending that council approve and give us permission to keep going with. So scenario 1 is what we're going to talk mostly about, is the moderate flood control channel downstream. So that's taking all of that area that you can see on that map, downstream of Harrison, and doing a bunch of stuff there, from widening to deepening to whatever Maitland Valley and our engineers work together on to get rid of the water quicker out of the town so that we can let it escape further so it doesn't back up, is for lack of a better term. We did budget $262,300 for floodplain mitigation planning remediation, and 50% of that was funded from that disaster relief fund that we got, okay, or disaster mitigation fund. In April, we started that with Maitland Valley overseeing all the tree and shrub removal along the banks and some bank stabilization. Now comes this report that gives you the 3 potential options for this work. Watershed planning using the 2018 draft guidelines, which Bill and the engineers have been through. A class environmental assessment process under the Environmental Protection Act, or flood mitigation plan. What we're recommending, without going through a lot of it, but the watershed planning using the 2008 draft guidelines would be very comprehensive and would take a lot of money to do a lot of studying on stuff that we already know that what we need to do. It's a very new process, but as they said here, using the guidelines to prepare the watershed plan seems to be directed to situations where large parcels are to be open for future development. So it really doesn't fit, in our consultant and our engineers' opinion, doesn't fit what we're looking for to do in Hairston. So to undergo that process would not be money well spent, in our opinion. When we talk about moving the river, as people have talked about, and redirecting the river so it doesn't come into Hairston, what our consultants and our engineers and staff have talked about is that is a very expensive process to do that, obviously, between land acquisition and digging and just all that stuff. But not only that, to start the process, we would have to do a class environmental assessment process. So to do an EA on that entire process would be very time consuming, very expensive, and we might not ever use it. So what we're recommending with that is we don't go down that road right now. We work on the downstream stuff. We see how the modeling reacts to that and how we can affect the flooding and work at that. And then that keeps us away from having to do any environmental assessments at this time. If we get going down the road and an environmental assessment comes up that we need to do, we'll do it. But our engineer and our consultant are confident that we can do a lot of this without going through the environmental process, which we all know is very expensive and very, very time consuming. And in our opinion, we could spend our money a lot better kind of avoiding that process and getting this stuff done, and it's better bang for our buck. So the third option is a flood mitigation study, which is something that we can do in-house. It's less formal than a watershed plan or a class environmental assessment. We prepare a plan that evaluates scenarios that are prepared by the MVCA, and then we present it to the public in the fall again. So what it is essentially is we use our own expertise between our consultant, our engineers, and our staff, and we come up with a flood mitigation study that will give us stuff that we can do alternatives, different things, and we can present that and look at that and hopefully make a big difference in our future potential flooding issues. So in summary, the recommendation is that you accept the report and you direct staff, the MVCA, and Triton to continue with the Hairston Flood Mitigation Study for presentation to the public and council in the fall of 2019, with individual project work to improve flood conditions proceeding as soon as possible, subject to the budget and proper approvals being obtained. So give us permission to keep going downstream, keep doing that work, but keep going through the flood mitigation study so that we can tell the engineer and our consultant to keep working at that and get some concrete results that we can show you. So as I said, this is the summary of the first part of the study, and it's directing us to kind of stay away from the big environmental assessment and looking at redirecting the river and looking at going through the they call the watershed planning through the 2018 guidelines, which seems very cumbersome.
Questions?
Thank you, Mayor Bridge, and thank you, Chris and Bill, for putting this together. It's a great report, and it explains it very well. And I agree with the process. I've talked with Mr. Jackson about it, and been right there with Mike, and looking at the results, and that software that Mr. Jackson has up in Maitland Valley, absolutely amazing. Anybody that hasn't seen that should stop up and have a look. I mean, he's saying with what we've done, we've already taken some really good steps. So, I mean, I'm in favor of this, and I'll make the motion.
Mark?
Just again, thank you, Chris, for putting this together. It's okay. This downstream business. Just a question. I see its comment in here that some of it may have to go through. This is maybe a question to Mike of the Drainage Act, or can we get away from that at all with this part of the process? It mentions that in this report that some of it may have to go through a Drainage Act and the channeling end of it. But
We don't necessarily want to go that route. To go through the Drainage Act with the assessment schedule, it could be very onerous going that route as well, but there may be certain components that need to, just to even speed up the process and for legality purposes. So that'd be the only reason why we go through the Drainage Act that way.
and the town is part of that. We could be
we would
exactly.
be, yes.
We'd be assessed on that drain. Yeah. Okay,
So
thanks.
just on that, I think I remember Steve saying one of the advantages almost is the fact that it can fall under the Drainage Act, which allows us to free up some of the EA that we might have had it done otherwise. But I never thought the river was actually part of the drain, but it is in certain sections.
Yeah.
Which helps us at Mark, I guess. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know whether I heard this right, but this has already helped what we've done so far. Have you?
Correct. Yeah.
I thought that's what you said.
Yeah. So clearing the outlet where the northward drain drains into the river, more or less behind Spear Seeds, that area, that's letting the water from that end of town get through the drain and get away faster. When the water rises above the drain outlet, of course the water then backs up into that area. So by getting that area clear and letting the water get away, it doesn't back up into the George Street area near as fast. So again, that's oversimplifying things. So I'm sure the engineers and Mike and the drainage experts could really wow you with some more technical terms. But in my mind, that's how I simplify it. It's just simply getting it that we can get that outlet and get the water clear so the water doesn't rise above it.
So without that, we probably would have had some overflow somewhere in Harrison this year, you believe?
I can't say about this year. Mike would better know about if we've had this year, but we've gotten a lot of rain and it's worked a lot better, is what you've said, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, like the events, we haven't seen the major events this season.
No.
Keep our fingers crossed as of yet, but we have seen a reduction in flows through that area by 2 inches already. So just doing those simple tasks right now, we've reduced that by 2 inches.
Yeah, that would be important for the public to know, and I believe you guys have been working at trying to do that.
Well, we're trying to get more firm data on that as well, and even with some of the land leveling through there is going to increase that even more yet. So
people think we're just cutting down bush and trees for no reason.
Yeah, it is very beneficial.
Yep.
And part of this report, if you give us approval to keep going with the flood mitigation study through the consultant or engineers, and as Bill said in here, we would be doing a fall public meeting again to give everybody an update, like council promised, and show them. Steve Jackson will come up and show them some of this modeling and how the work that we've done is already the changes you made. And as Deputy Mayor Turton said, this modeling does show that. Like it's the flyover digital photography that we did, the LiDAR. It was definitely worth the money because it's the data that it's given them on top of what the data we received from the flood that we had 2 years ago. Put it in all together has given us some really accurate modeling on where water flows and where it backs up and that stuff. So
thanks, that's great.
And I think just to follow up on the fact that in all the plans we looked at, any of the options, the area that we're going to work on first was on all of them we have to do anyways.
Yep.
So it just makes sense to go that route. It's the easiest one to hit. If we could get some money, who knows? The federal government will have some money for flood mitigation. It's possible. They've talked about it in the budget and whatever. So that'd be an opportunity as well. And then because we were able to do the tree removal and that, we can actually put that stopper in at the northward drain too. Are we not doing it, Mike? Which I don't know if people remember, but if we do get when the water gets up higher than the northward drain, we can actually put a valve down, so it doesn't back up up into the drain, because that's the problem we've had in the past too, which affects people's houses as it goes back up when the water gets too high. So those are all things, and I'm with everybody else. We haven't really had enough data yet, but I think Steve is working on that, and when we get some, hopefully we can release that, and sort of once we get some data to say this is what it's actually done. We know it's done some stuff, Ron, but I hate to throw that out there without knowing for sure what the numbers are.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it's helped, and
Do you have a seconder?
No, we need a seconder on there. Do we have
I think you have a mover, but
do we have a mover and a seconder? Sure. All in favor? Good work. Keep it up.
Chris?
Other business. I've got Judy, I think. Judy?
Okay. So just wanted to let council know that we had our fourth meeting of 100 Women Who Care Rural Wellington last evening. It was in Moorfield. Of note, Senator Rob Black was a special guest. He's a great guy, and we have some connections with him.
Yep.
And so he spoke for several minutes. He was very encouraging for the work that we're doing, and certainly said that it's filling a very great need. The Guelph Wish Fund for Children was March's winner, so Sharon Rice, the executive director, attended to thank the group for the donation, and the winning charity last night was Big Brothers Big Sisters North Wellington. So that's a charity that we know very well here, because council and staff and many of our residents have supported that group, especially through the bowling.
Mayor's golf tournament won once too.
And that too, yes. So as always, we're looking for new members to join our group. So if you are one of those people who would like to join, sorry, gentlemen, or know someone who is interested, please let us know.
Thanks, Judy. So, Sue said it was amazing.
Yeah, we've had 4 meetings, and we're probably close to $45,000.
$45,000 you've raised, yeah. Totally amazing. Mark, did you have something?
I do, thank you. I had the pleasure of attending the open house for the zero housing. That didn't indicate the price of the house, though.
I know.
The other day.
I asked that question, I didn't get a very straight answer on it. So
I think it pays itself off in 48
man,
years.
what a unit that is. I spoke to both of the partners there, and they both said in 2 years they will have units there in the mid 200,000 K, which is really pleasing to the ears, but it's going to take some time, and they hope to have an increase of 325 growth to our population in 2 to 3 years over there. So it's a great deal going on there right now. But the house isn't zero.
No, it's not.
But the energy is very close to it.
Yeah.
Savings,
That's pretty cool.
David?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Bridge. So this Thursday's the Frank Kelly Memorial Golf Tournament, and I know they're still looking for a team or two. So I want to throw that out there because there's a lot of volunteers in the town of Minto that work hard to make that tournament successful. So thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, Ron.
Yeah, one turned into three. Jurassic Park, Raptors win. Everybody knows that, but probably a lot of people don't know that we had our own Jurassic
At
Park in
Oregon.
town of Minto at Oregon, and they had in around 80 to 100 people attend to two of them that I know of, and it was great to see. So it was glad that we turned an Oregon into a television event. So we're thinking in the future we may be some hockey games and such like that we'll be able to put forward to the
Thinking
community.
when the Leafs get there?
Yeah. Well, the Stanley Cup Final for sure. Probably the only time on the weekend where we'll forego a movie to watch them win the Stanley Cup.
Well, yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
All right. But they're making trades, you know.
I know.
Party in the park this weekend at the Lions Heritage Park. We've sold a bunch more online tickets than we've ever sold. They're selling like crazy out of the both home hardwares. So we're very, very excited about it. We're looking forward to it. We're going to have Lulu's Roadhouse Band be the finale. And month of Sundays, they're out of Mount Forest. A local boy plays lead guitar, Paul Freeland's son, one of our employees. Really, really good music. And we have the Moore family, well, two of them, Derek and Maggie, the mom and dad are going to, the two bands are changing over. We're going to have them play right in the pavilion. So if it rains, it's not, it's 40%. So if it rains, we will be going to the arena. We'll always have a party somewhere, and we'll just take a piece of grass into the arena and call it party in the park. Well, not the regular grass, right? But so we're looking forward to that. If you can make it, I know it's classic rock. And I know a lot of our counselors are too young to remember most of the songs, but I think you would enjoy it. I know you would. I know you would. Really. I'm too young. Too young. Right. You sat on your dad's knee and he sang the songs to you.
All right.
And I was also wondering, Mr. Mayor, if we can go into summer casual wear for our next.
I think we should. We decided we cranked up the heat today. Just and I wore a tie with the idea that I could take it off, but when I saw everybody had a tie on, I thought, well, I better keep it on. Well, except Mark. Mark's the leader.
Terry looked after that for us.
We didn't all have a tie on.
We forgot our tie.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I know. Sorry. Anyways, but definitely in the summer we can. For the next two meetings, I would say golf shirts are available, and whatever the ladies want to wear.
I just have the one additional agenda.
Yes.
The report that I forgot to put on. I totally forgot to put on, but AMO delegations. Staff could not come up with any that were pressing and that we would need to get together and present for you, but we just wanted to make sure that council had the opportunity to let us know if there was any delegations that were pressing that you would like us to make on for AMO conference in August.
Just what you reported on.
I was going to say, what about that?
I would like to speak to Mr. Ford.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'd probably. You mean Bill 108?
Yeah. What about
I don't think they're going to probably take a lot of delegations on that.
Yeah, and we talked about that after the conference call, but because there's no information, it's hard to make a delegation on it when we don't know any details about the bill. So it was made abundantly clear that they're going to do these task force and they're going to invite people to be on task force. So we were taking the approach to try and get Gord on one of the task force so that we could present rural concerns with it. So we didn't think a delegation wouldn't be worth our time.
That might be a great question, and we'll come out of the audience.
The bear pit.
Sure, well,
At the bear pit. So.
Public health?
Public health. I could bring you an update on that if you want. I just was at the Alpha conference for 3 days in Kingston as chair of public health for Wellington, Dufferin, Guelph. I think it's similar to what we just heard in the other. I'm not sure this is all going through yet because now they're backing down a little bit and understanding that the only savings that I can see on this is the savings of the download on the municipalities.
Yeah.
There is no savings from an actual. In fact, it'll cost money to implement. So I don't understand the concept, and I think that was brought up quite a bit at the meeting. We had the head of mental health, chief officer of mental health there. Spoke for an hour. talked about this and that, and then the councillor from Toronto got up and said, well, that's not what he's hearing. So we've got some delegations going on that with the through the county. We've sent a letter off to Minister Elliott, and I was copied Ted Arnott and Randy, and both of them have indicated that they've talked to the minister as well. And there's going to be some opportunity to talk about, especially if where we were going to go, Gene, unfortunately, was down into Peel, which would have been a 3 million population healthcare unit, which would have taken the rural right away from it. So we've asked if they can look and see whether we should not be going up to Grey Bruce. And so I think we have some movement there that we might be able to work on, but definitely there'll be some delegations, but I don't think we would do it from this level. But we certainly have put our input in at that meeting. And
I think that seems to be the general consensus, that he thinks that Ontario people are foolish enough to not understand that the downloading from the province is going to hit them on the property tax.
Yeah, well, not only that, or you're going to have loss of service. So, and certainly that hasn't been the case. I just want to bring up one thing that we had from FCM at the conference, and there was a poll went out, and I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but they polled the people out there and the citizens, and 61% of them feel that municipal government is the best form of government to do their bidding and to actually get things done, and that 85% of them feel that the federal and provincial government should give municipal governments more money to actually do the things on the ground, that we can deliver the services better than they can. So those are two excellent points that's come across, and I'm sure it's not going to be lost at the federal election timetable. And FCM will be bringing out a doctrine for us to go to talk to all our politicians as to what the needs of municipalities are going forward into the federal election. And so you as individuals will get that shortly. They've been working on that platform, and so we'll have an opportunity to talk to all the people that are running in the federal government and really bring that point across. And I think it has to be brought across that way. So that's what I have.
They're always willing to give us service, allow us to do the services a lot, but they won't give us the money to run it. So
well, and we all know that we have 9% of the tax dollars and 60% of the infrastructure. So when we're talking here and we're seeing that we can't afford to do our infrastructure, it's because we're not getting the money that taxpayers give to our other two levels of government in order to fix the roads, fix the bridges, and do all the things. They pay a lot of taxes. So it's interesting that everybody remembers property taxes because they get that and they see it. But if you step back and figure out how much GST or HST you pay, how much gas tax you pay, and all the other taxes you pay consumer taxes, and where's that money been going? And so that's what we have to really drastically talk about. So we'll be talking about that at AMO, I'm sure. I'm not sure just how AMO is going to be this year because on delegations, it'll be interesting. I don't think we have anything like if we had a problem with the roads and whatever, like we've already talked about the detours and whatnot. I don't think that unless you can come up with anything, Mark.
No, not just wanted to ask you about how you're making it with the library issue on our behalf, county.
Yeah, that's being brought up, and the library is, and not only that, as you probably just heard, the development charge is going to be a big hit for us in the library services because that's a soft cost, and that'll hit us at the county level because we won't be able to. Although I think we'll be able to pay off our debentures that we borrowed to build the libraries from the development charges. Ken figures that we'll still be able to do that till those loans are done, but anything else, like as far as circulation, that's going to be going away. Now they seem to be pushing back a little bit, but coming back to us a little bit on the community distribution thing. But
will that be a topic on the agenda?
Yeah,
there?
So I think that I think the county's going to try to get a delegation there. So
thank you
for that. Yep. Okay. Anything else? Good. Moved by Councillor Gunston, second by Councillor Dirksen. The committee of the whole convenes a regular council meeting. All in favor? Notice of motion? Okay. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Anderson. The Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Gunston, the bylaw number 2019-59 to amend bylaw number 2019-22 fees and charges for public works schedule E, be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed over to council and seal the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Council Dirksen, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, the bylaw number 2019-60 to confirm the actions of the council of the corporation of Town of Minto respecting a meeting held June 18th, 2019, be reduced, read first, second, third time, passed over to council, seal the corporation. All in favor? Already signed that. How do I already sign that? Don't know. Moved by Council Anderson, second by Council McKenzie. The council of Town of Minto adjourned to meet again to call the mayor. All in favor? Thanks for a good meeting, everybody.